With all that's gone on with the fraud in Minnesota, Frankie Davis, a member of the Navajo Nation, brings some strong claims on money being funneled through the leaders of the Navajo Nation. We're not talking about a small amount of money. We're talking about tens and tens of millions of dollars. She pulls up charts, scribbles down notes, and makes you really think, is this another place where there is just mountains of money, mountains of federal money and tax dollars that are going to waste through fraudulent efforts, alleged fraudulent efforts? It makes you think, is this another place where federal tax dollars spending is going and may not be going to the right places, allegedly? See what she has to say and decide for yourself. This episode is brought to you by the Warriors of Teancum Men's Retreat and Workshop, a 3-day experience, August 13th through 15th. There's a crisis right now among men. It's not a crisis of strength. It's a crisis of purpose. Modern life has rewired us. This is not a self-help weekend. This is a call to gospel-centered masculinity for Latter-day Saint men using words of the prophets, the scriptures, gospel principles, and professional advice. We build a moral strength, a clear understanding of identity, competence that blesses those around you. You'll wrestle with purpose and anchor your strength into something eternal. And you're going to have a fun time doing it. Join myself and world-renowned speaker Chad Hymas and others for an experience I know you won't forget. Recharge. The world needs men, especially today. Go to cwicmedia.com, up to the top, WOT for Warriors of Teancum, to find out more. I hope to see you there. Here we go. All right, welcome to Cwic Show. My name is Greg Mattson, and I am your host. In this episode, we have Frankie Davis, known on YouTube as Navajo Grandma. She's got some very interesting things to talk about between the federal government, the funds, and what's going on with the Navajo Nation. Frankie, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And would you all like to introduce yourself in Navajo?
I would like to. My name is Frankie Davis, Navajo Grandma on YouTube, but I'm going to say this in Navajo. Yat e dines sanishle dida Frankie Davis yinishya kinya ani nishle kachitni bashichin shiche e ashchi danale shinala e na kai dine danale akut dine sanishle. Thank you.
Awesome. Great. All right. So I want to get right to the heart of the matter here. I want to start off with the federal funds. I think this is what's really fascinating, and obviously it's affecting people in your people, the Navajo Nation. But there are funds, a lot of funds, hundreds of millions of dollars that are being sent from the federal government to the Navajo Nation. What is happening with those funds? Do we know where all of them are? Seems to be that there is some discrepancy on a lot of these funds.
There definitely is. And if you don't mind, I would like to show you my work here to let you see. This is what I wrote down, and I love to teach my subscribers this way. But okay, anyways, let me go ahead and read this to you. Now, we are concerned about the ARPA funds that the federal government gave to the Navajo Nation, okay? The ARPA stands for the American Rescue Plan Act 2021. It was approximately $2.1 billion. And this is when Biden was president. And the first payment to the Navajo Nation was May 2021, $1,861,554,458.43 billion. Now, the money was to be distributed to 110 chapters to recover from COVID and projects and programs negatively impacted by COVID. Then the second payment to the Navajo Nation was August 2021 at the tune of 217,907,006.50 million. Now, if this amount was not fully used, it was to be returned to the federal government by 2026. Then, to prevent it, or preventing returning to the unused portion of this ARPA fund, the Navajo Nation Council made it into discretionary funds, again, to cover COVID effects, then for housing, food, transportation, firewood, hay, renovations, and so forth.
Okay, so let me ask you a question on this, Frankie.
Sure.
First of all, that's $2 billion in those two payments. That's over $2 billion.
2.1
What
billion.
does $2 billion do for, first of all, just for COVID? What are the actions of the Navajo Nation to recover from COVID, and how did they use the $2 billion to recover from COVID?
If I could tell you, I would be happy. That is a lifelong question we've been asking since the money was offered or given to the Navajo Nation. And there was no definition, of what was used. It said programs, and, it's sad. They refuse to define how it was used. So you can ask the Navajo Nation Council. They can't even tell you. And I've questioned them. The Speaker of the House, I've questioned Law and Order, and no one, the Judicial Department, anybody and everybody I've interviewed, they don't even have an inkling.
Okay, so $2 billion, we're not sure what it's used for. Whatever was not going to be used for COVID, and who knows how they used that for COVID, the rest was going to go into discretionary funds that would go directly to the Navajo people and help them with basic needs and different things like that. Also, I wanted to ask, RFKJ, Robert Kennedy Jr., was also involved with this, right? Correct? I mean, in terms of finding out what was going on, why all this money was sent to you, and where it was. Can you go over that a little bit? I think you actually had a discussion with him.
Yes. Well, we did approach them and his office, and he did state that they are aware at this point. If you don't mind me doing so, I'm going to turn to that page of when I contacted him, and then his statement was, he did. Okay, let's go over this one. Okay, we did contact them in April, and we are finally getting responses now with letters or email, and we got from the Health Minister Kennedy. And his phone conversation was that he cannot explain what they are going to do, and to keep quiet about this. And I can read you the letter if you want.
Sure.
It says, "Dear Miss Davis, my paternal Navajo name is Ahenba." And he says, "Thank you for your letter to Senator Robert F. Kennedy." He had a friend of mine just regurgitate this. But anyways, regarding your concerns about potential fraud, waste, and abuse among leaders within the Navajo Nation tribal government, he has asked me to respond to you on his behalf. He already told me he was going to have Philip Smith, talk to me about this. We appreciate your efforts in bringing this matter to your attention. Please be assured that all allegations of this nature are regarded with the utmost seriousness. Your complaint and the information you have provided will be subject to a thorough review in accordance with our established procedures. In alignment with federal statutes and agency policies, we are obligated to uphold strict confidentiality regarding investigations. Consequently, we are unable to share specific details about our review process, confirm whether an investigation has been initiated, or disclose any findings or content. We appreciate your cooperation in bringing this matter to our attention. Signed, Philip B. Smith. Now, Philip Smith, like I said, I knew him at BYU, and he's been in Maryland, Bethesda, Maryland, forever and ever. And now I don't know that really answered a lot about, Robert Kennedy. But then here's another one, a response, which is exciting. It was the U.S. Department of Justice from the Criminal Division. It says, Miss Frankie Achenbaugh, P.O. Box in Provo. Dear Miss Achenbaugh, thank you for your letter dated July 6, 2025, concerning possible fraud in the Navajo Nation. If you believe that the matter may constitute federal criminal activity, you should contact the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, the investigative arm of the Department of Justice. The FBI will determine whether a federal investigation may be warranted. If appropriate, the FBI will refer the matter to a United States attorney for a final determination regarding legal action. We appreciate you taking the time to share your concern. We hope this information is helpful. Sincerely, Correspondent Manager Staff, Office of Administrator.
Okay, and has that gone to the FBI at all? Has that moved to the FBI?
About 2 days ago.
About 2 days ago. Okay, so there is now, is there an open investigation then by the FBI?
Okay, this is just hearsay. I'm going to repeat.
Okay.
I know that because I talk with and I hear through the grapevine, because we try to stay back and work with the grassroots people. And the rumblings in the council is that people are kind of getting scared, because they said somebody has caused an audit of the Navajo Nation. And so they're trying to figure out who it is, and they are trying to put themselves together. But everyone is scared, running scared right now, because there has been previous, special counsel and audits done. And
so the people, Frankie, the people that would be running scared would be the people involved with the money.
Oh, yeah. And that's a judicial, that's a legislative, the council, and the executive knows about it now.
Okay. So, and everything you've seen, all right, because I know you're involved with the people there in the Navajo Nation. From everything you've seen, that money has not trickled down to the people, correct?
No. So it's been, everyone says it's gone into their pockets. But do you mind if I show you the history of why this happens? Okay. Here again, I hope you can see it, but here is the waste, fraud, and abuse of federal funds. This is their history. 142 face charges in slush fund scandal. These were the Navajo councilmen. 2, massive Navajo corruption conspiracy cases. 3, 78 and current former Navajo Nation councilmen charged with $36 million in discretionary funds intended for Navajos in need. 4, ARPA funds, waste, fraud, and abuse. 5, Navajo Council urges investigation into Zenny homes. This is with Boo Nygren. 6, President Boo Nygren avoiding embezzlement. These are just, Navajo time things. Number 7, 21 July 2025. Boo Nygren asked by council where the $2.1 billion was, where the $24 million had gone. He refused to answer and walked out on the Navajo Council as well as the Navajo people. 8, the Speaker of the House, Honorable Curley, involved in Zenny home scandal, plus Boo's self-appointed administration, which he had no right to do. He's not supposed to just pick and choose whom he wants to, pay horrible, tremendous high money for just to sit in his office and whatever they do. They're not doing anything for the people.
So Frankie, it looks like there is a large amount of, based on what you're showing here, there could be a large amount of corruption happening at the highest levels of the Navajo Nation today. But it showed also that this has been going on maybe for a long time, decades, yes. It looks like to me.
It's a history, yes. And now remember, okay, so no one has done anything, and I've been out and about, and there's 3 of us women, the only one with integrity, basically have created resolutions. Now, I would give you the resolution, but my phone is off and whatever. But on November 21st, we are going to go to Baca Pruitt, and we are going to finally have that made into law, which is we want criminal background checks, okay? Number 2, we want to make sure that the judicial appointees, judges, prosecutors, whoever, are appointed and not handpicked to protect one another in Window Rock, Arizona. See, this is what they do. They've been protecting each other. And when they did this, 142 of them, the councilmen, when they were found, and the special prosecutor totally did an audit of each one of them, they were protecting one another, and that was the whole scenario. 250,000 here, 450,000 here. They completely set it up themselves to make sure if somebody fell, the other one would speak and say, oh, he didn't do it, or whatever. But it didn't work. One went to prison. The others did not. They had an attorney.
Of the current administration, one went to prison?
There's of the previous 88 okay. councilmen. Now then because of that, they whittled it down to 24. Now the 24 are doing twice the embezzling.
Okay, so there has been investigation into these funds before and how they've been used. Okay, but still it's a trail that seems to keep happening because it sounds like it's because of the system that is set up, and you're trying to make those changes to change that system so that you can't just create a little cabal within the highest levels of the Navajo Nation.
Yes, it's sick, and this is what they do now because it's happening there. Then you've got to remember this large scale has now gone to the chapter level. The chapter level is doing the same thing now. And this is, if you want, I would.
This is the level down, the local levels of the nation, correct?
Yes, there's 110
chapters in the Navajo Nation.
Now I'm going to show you, this is the waste, fraud, and abuse through the chapter level, okay? Now I'm just going to take my chapter, for example. I can tell you I've been through every chapter and they have the same exact problems. Number 1, in our chapter, the previous chapter president, and I name names, I don't care, I'm saying it, Rena Murphy embezzled thousands of discretionary funds, up to around 150,000. These are federal funds. She was never prosecuted, and she's still working at the chapter. You're not supposed to do that.
Okay, I just want to make sure so that we're clear on this. These are your accusations that you're saying. There has not been a conviction or anything on these.
No, it was in front and center in the newspapers. Okay. Now then, Rena, everything I'm telling you has sources. Okay, this is not hearsay.
Okay.
Rena Murphy's cousin, the president CSE, which is the community service coordinator, her name is Janice Arthur, and she was questioned by the voting members this month in Pueblo Pintado about 139,000 that no one knows what happened to. Rena and Janice are cousins, okay? Now, 3, the vice president with no background check, he died recently, but while he was drunk, he killed an 18-year-old Navajo girl, and Janice allowed him to continue working, and his hand was nothing ever happened. Number 4, Janice Arthur, the CSC, has and continues to be criminally negligent, abusing chapter members, refuses to allow certain chapter members to apply for discretionary funds for home renovations, food, wood, hay for horses, water, help of any sort. She yells at these people, these are voting members, and chases people out of the chapters. Now she did that to me and did that to the wrong person, as you can tell. And then I went and I made a police report because she threw things at me. She had never met me before. And anyways, I made several police reports, and by some weird chance, the reports went missing. They said, oh, we don't know what happened to them. Okay, so then that was one of the problems that occurred. And then I went to the ethics in Washington, or in Window Rock. I made a report on everybody. Okay, you know how they say poo flows downhill? Well, here, poo flows uphill. So we went up from Janice to her SSP and a Miss Kintlachini, then another level up with the community service people, Candace Yazzie, who is in bed with Boo and in trouble, and they have a subpoena for her. And then on up the ladder where it finally gets to Boo Nygren. And every one of these people, I asked them and I said, what happened? I mean, are you not looking at this woman and their history and the previous presidents? These people are embezzling, they're criminally negligent, they're doing everything you can think of. And you know what their response is? She is a Navajo Nation employee and we have to protect her.
Are these individuals elected?
Yes, and they hold here we are. They hold their hand to the square and they speak their oath. I included that in all of the ethics reports. I sent that.
And the ethics
back
reports went where?
Is
that to the Navajo Nation, or is that to the FBI or the federal government?
No, it's the proper procedure you have to go through is to go through Window Rock first, okay? And that's where no one, now, because nothing was being done, I spoke and made an appointment with the Speaker of the House, Honorable Curley. Now remember, Honorable Curley is in trouble herself, misusing federal funds with Boo. And so at this point, I mean, what is the point when I'm trying to say, hey, what happened, chapter level? And she just sat there and said, well, I don't know. You'll have to just wait for the report. I said, you know what? You guys have to do something because there's only 2 people. They have 5 or 6, 3 to 4 foot high of ethics reports. No one has gone through. And it's horrible. So anyway,
why are not more people involved like you are in trying to figure out what's going on? I mean, if this has been going on for decades and it's really bad right now and all this corruption is going on, why are there not more Navajos trying to protest this?
I will tell you. Just take, for instance, everything that I say about my chapter is 110 chapters. Everything is exact. Janice Arthur is believed to be a witchcraft woman, a skinwalker, and she, commits all these witch things on the people because they said when they go in there and she witches them, all of a sudden their neck hurts or their arm breaks. And so I don't know, but this woman said she came out and she couldn't hear out of her ear because Janice, did something to her. And it's a fear. Okay. Fear is really huge. Plus, where is the police? That's their ante. I mean, how are you going to get that done? So I said, then call the federal police. But no one knows what that means. Even though you got to remember, we're educated, but even though they've gone to high school, it doesn't click here where they can actually go outside the Navajo Nation and they see, but you know what? We are told we are sovereign. And, in some states, like in California, the police will not answer because they say, you people are sovereign. We can't interfere. Attorneys don't even dare step on, on the reservation lands. So people have such different perspectives. And then not only fear of retaliation. Here's another one. The retaliation is, you talk to me like that, you report me, you are not going to get any food. You are not going to get hay. You are not going to get any. Yeah. In fact, this is what this woman, Janice, told the people. I'm not giving you the paperwork to apply for discretionary funds. And then she gives all of this to her family and friends to mock the people and say, see what happens? Try it. Just try it.
So the hierarchy of those in authority have got all the control within the Navajo Nation. And also, I would imagine from a perspective of community, you don't want to be ostracized.
Nope.
Right. Even the food and everything else obviously is very important, but you don't want to be ostracized from the community. It's part of your identity and everything else.
Yeah,
and people push you to the outside and you have shame thrown on you. That's a problem too.
Yeah. But it's all power, greed, and control by chapter level, the Navajo Nation level. When I talked to the Speaker of the House, I was told, don't do that. She's going to call the police on you and jail you for whatever reason she wants. In fact, I even told Honorable Curley, I said, I was told you're going to jail me because I'm sitting here eyeball to eyeball, presenting the situation. And are you really going to? Because you know what? I can call the federal police and you have to have a good reason to arrest me for coming and asking about the ethics department. And I said, is this true that you would do that? She just put her head down and she wouldn't answer.
Okay, so let's drop down to the next level here, Frankie.
Okay.
All that's been happening here, the lack of funds being distributed, if the funds are being hoarded by a small group of people and those in authority, the chapter leaders and up and above into the, what do we call the head of the Navajo Nation? What is his role? What is his title?
Well, he's the executive and he is the president.
The president of the Navajo Nation.
Yes.
Okay. So the president and his cabal and everybody around them, if they're hoarding all of this money, then obviously the money's not trickling down to where it needs to go. What are the consequences of this? Right? What are the consequences of that money not getting down to the people?
The consequences, and can I show these to you?
Yes.
This is what happens. And this is where I stepped in again. And the consequences, there's no food, okay? And we went and used our own savings. I put Pueblo Pintado Eastern Agency Food Delivery. And these are some of the elderly people. Now they're taking boxes of food out. And that's how, I hope this is answering your question. There's no food.
Yeah.
And here is some of the food in my truck. We were filling up our truck.
So you're supplying the food.
Yes.
That should be supplied by the Navajo Nation, by the chapters.
Yeah.
And the money is not getting there. The food is not getting there.
Right. And then no one's getting help. Now, this woman is the woman that, her name is Matilda. She's the one that has 11 grandchildren. Her 2 daughters are in jail. And she because of the foster program, the kids are being raped and abused. And she said, not my children. I don't care if I have a 10 by 20 house, they are going to stay here. And so this is her. And I found her. I mean, I heard of her over and over. She lives in this 10 by 20 house with all of the children. And there's
So 12
trash.
12 people living in there.
Yeah, trash everywhere. So we cleaned up the yard with the kids. And then we are funding this. And this is a part of the reason why I want help and I need help, because we're not trying to take over the Navajo Nation and say, okay, now we're going to be the discretionary fund. Some of these people are in such desperate situations that I feel that these two women need help, but she's needing extending her 2.5 bedroom. And there's a Navajo man who is a contractor, a builder. And he said, you know what? I can't do it for less than $35,000 for basically building actually 3 bedroom. Then, I mean, and here I'm showing you, where in the discretionary funds, this is the ceiling. They're supposed to have the discretionary funds and the PEP people come in and fix this roof. Now, right here, this is cardboard. And then right in the corner, they have bugs coming in, and the kids say they killed them every night, and they have a hard time sleeping. This is what the discretionary funds do, okay? So then the vehicle situation, she needs a fuel injector, and, that's a part of the stuff that we're trying to help with. And then remember, there's no wood, okay? So we basically went up in the timberline ourselves, not the PEP, and we gathered 48 cords of wood, helping the elderly and veterans and families to get to the wood.
You guys cut the wood yourself?
Pardon?
You guys gathered and cut the wood yourself?
Oh yeah, we're doing this ourselves. I mean, we're chopping the wood, if you can tell, and
because they have no electricity.
In the Eastern Agency, no electricity. I'm just going to show you, this is the wood we've gathered. And here, when you do this, there's a truck loaded with it, and we delivered these. And again, because there's most of the people, their electricity is disgusting. Here is Boo Nygren. When they said he walked out, he refused to answer the misuse of millions of ARPA funds. Instead of answering, he just walked out on the council. That was in July. And here is the newspapers, the Navajo Times, saying Nygren walks out mid-address as council presses for answers on Zinni Homes deal. There's all kinds of, I needed to show this to you because picture sale, they mean a lot. And I'm sorry, it's not super duper, but we're trying to put our sickle in. Not that I tell the people, I'm here to, putting out a fire, but also in the process, because, I'm trying to teach them self-sufficiency right now. And that costs money to go there. Traveling 75 miles to the stores or to, just to make sure that we have a place to stay, and then teaching self-sufficiency to try to ward off the fact that to stop the dependency. Now, like I said before, the government, ever since 1868, has taught Native Americans dependency. It's just the way what they've taught. Now we're trying to unravel it and teaching them.
That's a hard road to go down. That is
well, you know what? We're having some success. We're going one at a time, but the people, the women are the most receptive, and there's prayer, understanding, that, there's a lot of prayer, teaching about Jesus Christ, and prayer, not just to say the prayer that they do at the council meetings, but that it comes from us. We fast and pray that they will understand and breathe it in and make it a part. I'm trying to teach them to stop depending on the Navajo Nation or the federal government, but to depending on yourself. That's the greatest blessing you will have. And because I said, where's the chapter money? Where is the Navajo Nation now? They're not caring for you. So you have to take over. And I'm putting out your fires. And now what is your plan? Because when I leave and help somebody else, I'm not going to babysit you. You have to have a plan. So we're trying to create a plan. Now, it's hard to do that when you're out in the reservation. And what jobs are you going to have? And we're not allowed to have businesses. It's ridiculous. And it is a hard road, but the people really are receptive when you are honest with them and help them. And they actually have cleaned up their yards. And I said, how does it make you feel? I came here and there was garbage everywhere. And now we've cleaned this up. How does the children and people are saying, oh my gosh, it feels so wonderful. And that feeling of self, the psychological aspects, to feel happy and to have hope that somebody is actually coming there instead of the chapter president sitting and warming their seats 24/7. That I just told them, when you get these jobs, you need to be out there among the people on a daily basis, finding out what they need, what if they're sick or not. And the COVID thing keeps coming up. They remember my grandfather, who did this on a daily basis. And he was a Navajo Nation councilman. And he tried so hard to get the federal people taking the 1868 treaty, wherein it does state, should anyone hurt or, in any way commit a crime against a Navajo person, that they will be held accountable. So my grandfather took this paper and, his paper, and he took it to Washington, D.C. and laid it before the Senate, the Congress, and said, why aren't you adhering to these things? Our own people are stealing from us. They are criminal. And here, it's not the white people at this point, it's the people within. So anyways, that is what has been exemplified for me. And I don't mind going out there, but my finances are getting very, very thin. But I'm having progress. And I invite anyone and everyone, I will take you to every chapter you can. There's a woman who has a trailer with no roof. She has painter's plastic over her roof. In the wintertime, it falls in and they just sweep it up. They freeze. It's horrible. We've had 2 elderly women who died of starvation this summer. There was not one peep, no reports. It was left like that no one cared.
Okay, so Frankie, first of all, concluding this, and you're very passionate about that, and you should be. Obviously, this is horrible. What I'd like to do is have you keep us up to date on what's happening with this FBI investigation. If that's occurring, it'd be nice to know if that's actually being followed through on, or if nothing's happening, right? Because something has to change. Obviously, something here has got to change. Secondly, to help these individuals out that you've profiled here, what can people do? What can the audience do to help out?
Well, I'm sorry to say, but we need funds. I trust myself. I don't trust nobody on the Navajo reservation. And I go and do what I say. And everything, the expenditures are there. I don't have a 501c3, or if that's what it's called, and I don't have the time to do that. And this problem is exacerbating on a daily basis. And I am there going back and forth and trying to make sure that these things are being followed through. That I just need funds, and I have a whole
So
list.
how do people get money to you?
Okay, I am. It's a very simple. I didn't write it down, but I don't know. Can you? This is so horrible. This is my business card.
Okay.
And so it's a business. It sounds horrible to say that. This is Navajo Grandma. And my email address is nativepreservation@gmail.com. And my post office box is P.O. Box 50561, Provo, Utah, 84605. And that's my business address. And I'm just showing this to you that I represent the Navajo people with a business called Dene Alati, and I fight for them to have gas and oil and make sure that they're getting leases, and fighting Biden and everybody else that hate oil and gas. There's a lot that I do as Navajo Grandma. And so, you know what? I asked God where I needed to help, and this is where he brought me. And I look at the children, and you hear them pray. It's not their fault. And
well, we'll see what we can do here on getting you some help. We'll put this out there and see if we can get you some help on this, get some relief for some of these individuals. We've got a great audience, and I think they want to help out. So we'll put that information in the description box and see what we can pull from this. Okay. I appreciate you coming on the show. I understand there's real issues. One of the things is that in the broader U.S. community, we don't hear about these things, right? You don't hear about the Native Americans and what's going on the reservations, and nobody talks about it. And that might be good in some cases, but in some cases, this is a problem. And where there can be help given and a bridge built here to help out, I think that it's important that we can do that. So I appreciate you coming on the show.
One more thing?
Yes, go ahead.
Even Washington, D.C. said, "Oh, we came to the Navajo Nation. Everything is wonderful." I said, "You are doing photo ops, okay?"
Yeah, they're rolling out the red carpet for those people.
You are not hearing the people. You're not there in the grassroots where I am, and I'm listening and I'm interviewing. I'm going to the horse's mouth. It's nothing that's hearsay, to actually see what's happening and wondering how come, and then going back to the leaders saying, "Why is this happening?" And they just turn away. They don't have an answer. They get mad at you. And I just said, you know what? This has got to stop. How in the heck are we going to do as Jesus? I used to hear this. What would Jesus do? Well, I want to help and do what my Savior did, to help the helpless, the sick, the afflicted, and to bless them, teaching them to walk uprightly before him and to help in every way I can. And this is a legacy I want to leave. If I don't want to die. I'm not going to die. I'm going to be translated. But anyway, so here we are. We are, and it's a lovely duty. It's backbreaking, and it takes a lot of time. And it's, like I said, it's used up our funds, but somehow the miracles are incredible. Can I say one miracle?
Sure.
Okay. When we go, we pray always, and we go fasting to help these people. We need the wisdom, the spiritual wisdom. When I've gone out there and I fill up my gas from Provo to Farmington, then we fill up again, and we make it all the way. But when we're driving everywhere, Cuba, Farmington, again and again, going from home to home, traipsing wood around and feeding people, trying to help these people. And I look at my gas gauge, and usually it'll say like sometimes 225 or 150 miles left. And then I just ignore it. I just tell the Lord, you know what? We're going to have success. I need your help. We're low on gas, but you know what? I know everything's going to work out. I will go out and do a drive, a few miles. All of a sudden, I have noticed that it will come to 435 miles left. These things happen, and they're incredible. People don't believe things like that can happen. Miracles haven't ceased. And I see him, and it was funny. Sister Gileadi said, "Oh my gosh, God is filling your gas." And I said, you know what? He must be, because how can you go from 119 gallons of gas left, all of a sudden you're at the end of the day, you're at 435 or whatever. And these are miracles. And we are blessed for doing service, and service is wonderful. It is a happy errand. And I'm thankful that my grandparents have taught me this. My parents exemplified this. And here I am doing the same thing. And I just say, please join me. Help me. You have the means. What are you going to do with it? You can't take it with you. You've got to choose to do something constructive. Well, here we are. Thank you. And thank you for your time, Greg. We love you.
Absolutely.
And thank you.
Well, we'll see what we can do with our audience here. And again, audience, if you could help out, that would be great. We'll give you a link on the description box so you can help out. Thanks for coming. I hope everything works out and things become better here for you. And again, hopefully, getting rid of corruption is a difficult thing, but it's really impressive what you've done. Thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you.